39 plus years. It'll be 40 years in May of this year. We met, my husband's cousin worked for me many years ago. And when she found out that my husband, was going to be assigned to where I was located, she got excited and said, "Oh, I want you to meet my cousin." And of course, I knew that was fraught with danger because she worked for me. I was her boss. But anyway, he arrived and she introduced us, and that's how we met. And of course, I was not interested, but I, had to tread lightly.
She wasn't interested, but when I saw her, hey.
But we met at Fort Stewart, Georgia. We were both in the military at that time. And
She was a company commander.
Yes, I was commanding a company. I was a first lieutenant. And he came in from an assignment in Korea, in Fort Huachuca, Arizona. And he was the captain.
I ranked her at that time.
Our first date, as far as I'm concerned, was after a few weeks of reconsidering this person that I wasn't really interested in. I thought, well, maybe I should at least try to give him a chance. It wasn't like I was dating anybody or anything. And so I called him up one day and invited him to lunch. And at that time, there was an officers club at Fort Stewart. So I invited him to lunch at the officers club. He gladly accepted. And so we went to lunch and we talked for about, more than 2 hours probably. Just talking about all kinds of things and getting to know each other. So that is what I would consider, a first date.
Well, let me tell you how that came about. See, I had called and I'd gone to the field, came back, and this guy named Ugly somebody. And he said, "I know this young lady who's country." And so I said, "Okay, I'm country. I'm from Magnolia, Mississippi. I'm country." And so I came back and I met her and then called her. And she said, "Okay," after 2 or 3 calls.
So you're considering the same thing as our first date?
That was our first date, yeah. But I realized after the conversation that I was her last great hope. And we're keeping hope alive.
Well, initially, as I said, nothing. Because he was too short, he was too young, and he was too giddy for me.
Still on.
However, upon, reconsideration,
there was nobody else.
I soon discovered that he was a hard worker and that he was a very kind person, very gentle person, and a very trusting person. And so eventually those traits won out over the other things. Those things didn't go away, but it was a deeper kind of thing that I found out about him that really eventually attracted me to him.
So what's the thing you said I had?
At some point I said he had potential.
Potential. Now what I like about her is she's organized. I didn't understand it in terms of just really being a critical thinking, but I was out there. I was just wild. I really was.
Giddy.
And I was wild. She said giddy, I was wild. She gave me that calming effect and helped me realize that I didn't need to continue being wild. We'd be on the dance floor, and because we were on the dance floor, and I'm wild. When they say who let the dogs out, I just get wild. And wilder. And she's just doing her little move, and I'm doing my thing. So, but she gave me that calming effect. And she was a financial manager. We probably didn't call it that, but here I am staying in the bachelor's office quarter, a little apartment, BOQ, and she had a house with 3 bedrooms, and she had a job, she had a car, and I was happy. So I said, well, let me just stay here and try this if I can. Here we are.
While we were on active duty, we basically, first of all, both in the military, sometimes it is a challenge for couples to stay together. We were pretty astute, and of course I worked in HR, personnel we called it, so I understood the system. So we were always proactive in our requests. And because of that, we never had to be separated in the full time that we were both on active duty together. And so we were able to work with the system so that they would work with us and keep us together as a couple. That's a challenge because some people don't understand that, and so they get separated. And of course, separation never helps any marriage. So we always work to, be assigned together. We always try to work it so that one or the other of us, if not both, would go someplace where they had a career-enhancing assignment. And we kind of looked at it as we worked as a team. If he had to go someplace where he could get a certain assignment, then I would just take whatever they had. So that we could do that. But when we alternated, we never just said, okay, your career is more important than mine, so we really worked it as a team. And again, it worked well for us because we both ended up with, good assignments. Even if we didn't go into a place with what we considered a good assignment, once we got there, got established, we ultimately got a good assignment. And so I think that was the key for us, just trying our best to stay together as a couple. And then while we were together, we spent a lot of time together. We did not have children, so our time was basically work, be together, and we traveled a lot while we were in the military. And that was a good thing too, because we had a lot of experiences just together as a couple that we wouldn't have had probably otherwise.
And I'd like to add just one quick point. When we met her down at Fort Stewart, Georgia, I love to sing. And she was in the choir there at Fort Stewart, Georgia, the gospel choir. And she still sings. People think she can't sing, but she can when she puts her mind to it. But besides getting the assignments together, it was also our faith. And I think that's what's kept us over these 39 plus years, is that through ups and downs, struggles, mountain, valleys, those kinds of things, if our faith had not been strong, we would not be still married for 39 plus years. And I'll give you an example. When she had to leave for 4 years, after she got promoted to full colonel, she went back to Washington, D.C. for a year. She went to the Air War College for a year, and then she was stationed in Atlanta, but deployed to Kuwait for 22 months. So that's 4 years. And some people ask, well, how did you deal with that? Well, I knew that her faith was very strong in mine, and God kept us together. One of the things is she's a workaholic. I am not necessarily a workaholic. I do what I need to do and take care of what I take care of. But sometimes she would stay at work long hours, and I'm there watching TV. That has changed over the years somewhat. She's spending more time in not working as a workaholic, but still just trying to meet my needs.
Well, I still work, but I can do it from the house.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're working, you can't necessarily go to your home to do your work. Certainly back then, it's a little different now. But in the military, you still can't do it out of your house. You got to be there. But I think, that was the biggest challenge because it caused problems. Because he felt I should be at home, and I felt, well, okay, I will be home, but I need to finish my work first. And sometimes the nature of my work, because I worked in HR or personnel, during the day when everybody else is getting their work done like him, people are at my desk talking to me and talking about whatever their issues are, whatever. And I had to sit and talk and listen because that was a part of my job. But then at the end of the day, after they'd all gone home, that's when I had quiet time and actually do the paperwork and the things that I needed to do to stay on top of the other part of my job. And so that's really where the challenge was. And then, as he already alluded to, and this is not necessarily unique to the military, it's any marriage, but the ability to communicate. And if you're not communicating, that causes problems, because he might be upset about something, but he won't tell me what he's upset about, and so then I can't do anything. I can't make any change.
And I tell you, one way I dealt with it, and still deal with it, is that when I get upset, I am not going to fuss with her. We're not going to fight. I'll get in my car and I'll go for a ride. It may take an hour. It may take 2 hours. Gives me time to cool off, come back, and then we sit and talk about it. But one thing I'm not going to do, and we've chosen not to do, is just argue, fuss, and fight. I grew up in a household like that, and I promised I was not going to do that.
Ditto. I think so, because we did have a lot of shared experiences, and especially because we had the same careers. And so a lot of times that can be a mismatch for people if, one works in some environment that the other one really doesn't understand at all. Because we were both in the military, both officers, kind of having similar experiences, we understood what the other was going through, or if they said, this happened or that, we really understood what they were talking about, and I think that helped. And then I've also mentioned that we did a lot of traveling, and we always did that together.
And I think that it gave us an opportunity to learn and grow about leadership, and we've taken that and transitioned that to our civilian life. Our church life. We're leaders at our church, we're deacons at our church, in fraternities, sororities. We have a business that we do, Leaders and Shakers, which is leader development. So a lot of things we learned in the military helped us in our civilian life, as well as learning about each other even more.
I love his joyful approach to life. Rarely will you ever find him being down. I love his kindness to others. And I love his attention to my needs.
Talk to me now. What I'm talking about.
Okay, go on. What do you love?
I love her because she cares about people. Some people don't, because she's sort of laid back and conservative and not as open as I am about, joyful, but she really truly cares. And she has to have a cause, and she works toward a cause. And I love that about her. And when she reaches it, it's like, oh yeah, that's what she was working hard to do. And but it's all about somebody else, not about herself. She's not selfish.
Work on communication, because if you're not talking to each other, you're not connecting with each other, and you're like two ships passing in the night. And you're going to have challenges. I mean, we had challenges in our marriage. Mm-hmm. But if you at least learn to communicate with each other, don't hold stuff in, you can work it out. I just say to any young couple, marriage is not easy, but if you married the right person, meaning the person that you said you loved, and you wanted to spend a lifetime with them, then you just got to work through those rough spots and just believe and do your part. I mean, it's incumbent upon both people. It's never, my marriage fell apart because he didn't do this and he didn't do that. Well, there were things you didn't do as well. So each of you have to be committed and you have to work towards it.
And I would tell the young couple too is to be patient. Look at the long term. Short term, you do short term, mid term, long term, but look at the long term and say, what is it you want to be at when you're 40 years or 50 years or 60 years or whatever it may be, and what do you want to accomplish together? You're going to do things separate, but what do you want to accomplish together? And I think that's one of the things that kept us together, and still today.
So for wives, I'd say talk less and listen more. and learn to forget about stuff once it's over with. Don't keep bringing it up. For husbands, I'd say talk more. And trust that your wife has your best interest at heart. She's not going anywhere. She married you. She wants to be with you.